If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you but answer, he was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power or our will. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Other people's views and troubles can be contagious. Don't sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes through your associations with others. Only the educated are free. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Nature hath given men one tongue but two ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. To accuse others for one's own misfortune is a sign of want of education. To accuse oneself shows that one's education has begun. To accuse neither oneself nor others shows that one's education is complete. I laugh at those who think they can damage me. They do not know who I am, they do not know what I think, they cannot even touch the things which are really mine and with which I live. You are a little soul carrying around a corpse. First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold to your true aspirations no matter what is going on around you. No man is free who is not master of himself. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Skillful pilots gain their reputation from storms and tempests. Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Caretake this moment. Immerse yourself in its particulars. Respond to this person, this challenge, this deed. Quit evasions. Stop giving yourself needless trouble. It is time to really live, to fully inhabit the situation you happen to be in now. Do not try to seem wise to others. Don't seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and all will be well with you. If evil be said of thee, and if it be true, correct thyself, if it be a lie, laugh at it. Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. Preach not to others what they should eat, but eat as becomes you and be silent. A ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor life on a single hope. If you would be a reader, read, if a writer, write. If you wish to be a writer, write. Small-minded people blame others. Average people blame themselves. The wise see all blame as foolishness. God has entrusted me with myself. No man is free who is not master of himself. A man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. The world turns aside to let any man pass who knows where he is going. It is not so much what happens to you as how you think about what happens. I must die. Must I then die lamenting? I must be put in chains. Must I then also lament? I must go into exile. Does any man then hinder me from going with smiles and cheerfulness and contentment? We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us. If you would cure anger, do not feed it. Say to yourself, I used to be angry every day, then every other day, now only every third or fourth day. When you reach 30 days, offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving to the gods. Events do not just happen, but arrive by appointment. Asked, who is the rich man? Epictetus replied, he who is content. Demand not that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well. Either God wants to abolish evil, and cannot, or he can, but does not want to. Men are not afraid of things, but of how they view them. It is better to die of hunger having lived without grief and fear, than to live with a troubled spirit, amid abundance. Know you not that a good man does nothing for appearance sake, but for the sake of having done right? No great thing is created suddenly. When things seem to have reached that stage, merely say, I won't play any longer, and take your departure, but if you stay, stop lamenting. Give me by all means the shorter and nobler life, instead of one that is longer but of less account. It is our attitude toward events, not events themselves, which we can control. Nothing is by its own nature calamitous, even death is terrible only if we fear it. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Nature hath given men 1 tongue but 2 ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. What really frightens and dismays us is not external events themselves, but the way in which we think about them. It is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance. If someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself against the accusations, but reply, you obviously don't know about my other vices, otherwise you would have mentioned these as well. You may fetter my leg, but Zeus himself cannot get the better of my free will. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. Don't wish to be thought to know anything, and even if you appear to be somebody important to others, distrust yourself. Difficulty shows what men are. An ignorant person is inclined to blame others for his own misfortune. To blame oneself is proof of progress. But the wise man never has to blame another or himself. Whoever is going to listen to the philosophers needs a considerable practice in listening. Your happiness depends on 3 things, all of which are within your power: your will, your ideas concerning the events in which you are involved, and the use you make of your ideas. There is but one way to tranquility of mind and happiness, and that is to account no external things thine own, but to commit all to God. If any be unhappy, let him remember that he is unhappy by reason of himself alone. For God hath made all men to enjoy felicity and constancy of good. On the occasion of every accident that befalls you, remember to turn to yourself and inquire what power you have for turning it to use. When a youth was giving himself airs in the theatre and saying, I am wise, for I have conversed with many wise men, Epictetus replied, I too have conversed with many rich men, yet I am not rich. Don't live by your own rules, but in harmony with nature. Who are those people by whom you wish to be admired? Are they not these whom you are in the habit of saying that they are mad? What then? Do you wish to be admired by the mad? First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a figure. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. It is more necessary for the soul to be cured than the body, for it is better to die than to live badly. It is better to do wrong seldom and to own it, and to act right for the most part, than seldom to admit that you have done wrong and to do wrong often. Is freedom anything else than the right to live as we wish? Nothing else. Imagine for yourself a character, a model personality, whose example you determine to follow, in private as well as in public. Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinion about the things. You become what you give your attention to. Men are disturbed not by the things that happen, but by their opinion of the things that happen. The essence of philosophy is that a man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. If you want to improve, you must be content to be thought foolish and stupid. What concerns me is not the way things are, but the way people think things are. If you seek truth, you will not seek to gain a victory by every possible means, and when you have found truth, you need not fear being defeated. God save me from fools with a little philosophy, no one is more difficult to reach. Those who are well constituted in the body endure both heat and cold, and so those who are well constituted in the soul endure both anger and grief and excessive joy and the other effects. We must not believe the many who say that only free people ought to be educated, but we should rather believe the philosophers who say that only the educated are free. If you wish to be good, first believe that you are bad. Never say that I have taken it, only that I have given it back. No man is free until he is a master of himself. A city is not adorned by external things, but by the virtue of those who dwell in it. Epictetus, being asked how a man should give pain to his enemy, answered, by preparing himself to live the best life that he can. Whoever then would be free, let him wish for nothing, let him decline nothing, which depends on others, else he must necessarily be a slave. Crows pick out the eyes of the dead, when the dead have no longer need of them, but flatterers mar the soul of the living, and her eyes they blind. So what oppresses and scares us? It is our own thoughts, obviously, what overwhelms people when they are about to leave friends, family, old haunts and their accustomed way of life? Thoughts. Men are disturbed, not by things, but by the principles and notions which they form concerning things. Remind thyself that he whom thou lovest is mortal, that what thou lovest is not thine own, it is given thee for the present, not irrevocably nor forever, but even as a fig or a bunch of grapes at the appointed season of the year. Why do you want to read anyway, for the sake of amusement or mere erudition? Those are poor, fatuous pretexts. Reading should serve the goal of attaining peace. If it doesn't make you peaceful, what good is it? The philosopher's school, ye men, is a surgery. You ought not to go out of it with pleasure, but with pain. For you are not in sound health when you enter. Everyone's life is a warfare, and that long and various. For sheep don't throw up the grass to show the shepherds how much they have eaten, but, inwardly digesting their food, they outwardly produce wool and milk. In banquets remember that you entertain two guests, body and soul, and whatever you shall have given to the body you soon eject, but what you shall have given to the soul, you keep always. You will do the greatest services to the state, if you shall raise not the roofs of the houses, but the souls of the citizens, for it is better that great souls should dwell in small houses than for mean slaves to lurk in great houses. As a man, casting off worn-out garments taketh new ones, so the dweller in the body, entereth into ones that are new. Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire. Very little is needed for everything to be upset and ruined, only a slight lapse in reason. What are we to do, then? To make the best of what lies within our power, and deal with everything else as it comes. How does it come, then? As God wills. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If thy brother wrongs thee, remember not so much his wrongdoing, but more than ever that he is thy brother. This is your business, to act well the given part, but to choose it belongs to another. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. For it is not death or pain that is to be feared, but the fear of pain or death. Do not get too attached to life, for it is like a sailor's leave on the shore, and at any time, the captain may sound the horn, calling you back to eternal darkness. Neither should a ship rely on one small anchor, nor should life rest on a single hope. Remember from now on, whenever something tends to make you unhappy, draw on this principle: this is no misfortune, but bearing with it bravely is a blessing. Freedom is not procured by a full enjoyment of what is desired, but by controlling the desire. Nothing great comes into being all at once, for that is not the case even with a bunch of grapes or a figure. If you tell me now, I want a fig, I'll reply, that takes time. Asked how a man should best grieve his enemy, Epictetus replied, by setting himself to live the noblest life himself. An uninstructed person will lay the fault of his own bad condition upon others. Someone just starting instruction will lay the fault on himself. Some who is perfectly instructed will place blame neither on others nor on himself. We are at the mercy of whoever wields authority over the things we either desire or detest. If you would be free, then, do not wish to have, or avoid, things that other people control, because then you must serve as their slave. Keep the prospect of death, exile and all such apparent tragedies before you every day, especially death, and you will never have an abject thought, or desire anything to excess. Don't put your purpose in one place and expect to see progress made somewhere else. Take care not to hurt the ruling faculty of your mind. If you were to guard against this in every action, you should enter upon those actions more safely. Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things. It has been ordained that there be summer and winter, abundance and dearth, virtue and vice, and all such opposites for the harmony of the whole, and Zeus has given each of us a body, property, and companions. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. No one is ever unhappy because of someone else. Here are thieves and robbers and tribunals, and they that are called tyrants, who deem that they have after a fashion power over us, because of the miserable body and what appertains to it. Let us show them that they have power over none. What saith Antisthenes? Hast thou never heard, it is a kingly thing, O Cyrus, to do well and to be evil spoken of? When a man is proud because he can understand and explain the writings of Chrysippus, say to yourself, if Chrysippus had not written obscurely, this man would have had nothing to be proud of. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. Let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary and in few words. Who, then, is the invincible human being? One who can be disconcerted by nothing that lies outside the sphere of choice. Do not try to seem wise to others. If you want to live a wise life, live it on your own terms and in your own eyes. It is a universal law, have no illusion, that every creature alive is attached to nothing so much as to its own self-interest. Be free from grief not through insensibility like the irrational animals, nor through want of thought like the foolish, but like a man of virtue by having reason as the consolation of grief. There is no shame in making an honest effort. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. People with a strong physical constitution can tolerate extremes of hot and cold. People of strong mental health can handle anger, grief, joy and the other emotions. Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace. Demand not that events should happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Never say of anything that I've lost it, only that I've given it back. To admonish is better than to reproach, for admonition is mild and friendly, but reproach is harsh and insulting, and admonition corrects those who are doing wrong, but reproach only convicts them. Death is not dreadful, or else it would have appeared dreadful to Socrates. Reading should serve the goal of attaining peace. If it doesn't make you peaceful, what good is it? Fortify yourself with contentment, for this is an impregnable fortress. For if we had any sense, what else should we do, both in public and in private, than sing hymns and praise the Deity, and recount all the favors that he has conferred? He who exercises wisdom, exercises the knowledge which is about God. Circumstances do not rise to meet our expectations. Events happen as they do. People behave as they are. Embrace what you actually get. There is a time and place for diversion and amusements, but you should never allow them to override your true purposes. But to be hanged, is that not unendurable? Even so, when a man feels that it is reasonable, he goes off and hangs himself. Let your will to avoid have no concern with what is not in man's power, direct it only to things in man's power that are contrary to nature. Friend, lay hold with a desperate grasp, ere it is too late, on freedom, on tranquility, on greatness of soul. Don't seek that all that comes about should come about as you wish, but wish that everything that comes about should come about just as it does, and then you'll have a calm and happy life. If you choose, you are free. If you choose, you need blame no man, accuse no man. All things will be at once according to your mind and according to the mind of God. For what else is tragedy than the portrayal in tragic verse of the sufferings of men who have attached high value to external things? Man is troubled not by events, but by the meaning he gives to them. If a man has reported to you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make any defense to what has been told you, but reply, the man did not know the rest of my faults, for he would not have mentioned these only. Finally, when he crowns it off by becoming a senator, then he becomes a slave in fine company, then he experiences the poshest and most prestigious form of enslavement. Protect what belongs to you at all costs, don't desire what belongs to another. In literature, too, it is not great achievement to memorize what you have read while not formulating an opinion of your own. Adopt new habits yourself, consolidate your principles by putting them into practice. For where you find unrest, grief, fear, frustrated desire, failed aversion, jealousy and envy, happiness has no room for admittance. And where values are false, these passions inevitably follow. Tell yourself what you want to be, then act your part accordingly. Free is the person who lives as he wishes and cannot be coerced, impeded or compelled, whose impulses cannot be thwarted, who always gets what he desires and never has to experience what he would rather avoid. Freedom is not archived by satisfying desire, but by eliminating it.